boy, I am honestly quite anxious for this particular session. Hello everyone, Artemu the Violet Wizard here, and today we are continuing the Pokémon Sapphire Nuzlocke run. Last time we got to explore everything we could do around the areas that are accessible to us after arriving in Mauville City. And today we got ourselves a very tough battle that we are going to go through. So our team, honestly, I am really worried for how this is going to go, considering what our opponent's going to be having, as well as just we didn't really roll a whole lot of great encounters for what is coming up, honestly. Like, there are some Pokemon I really wish we could have gotten in this run that would have made this next gym so much easier, but there's nothing else we gotta do but just chart forward and just try to do our best. But in the meantime, before we go take on this battle, what I would like to do is something that I don't believe a lot of people have been able to do during these specific Nuzlocke challenges. And that's we're going to show off Pokemon contests. So this is a activity that we're able to do by playing the Generation Free games here, as this is where contests made their debut, and they would be quite relevant for at least Gen 3 and Gen 4. Until going in the back burner until the Gen 6 games and theoretically Gen 8. But the less said about Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl's iteration of the contest, the better. So, what do you need to do in order to prepare yourself for a contest? Well, first of all, you needed to select a specific Pokemon in your team to enter. And out of all our options here, I feel like Gladys would be best suited for this little challenge we have here. So, in order to prepare yourself for this feature, you need to look into what's known as the contest moves, which is the specific options you have in your Pokemon's moves. So your attacks will have different effects when used in a contest. Some will be good at doing appeals, while others can jam your opponents and affect their score. And the various contest moves also come in types, very similar to the actual combat moves. So in the case with Gladys, she's got an all-cool moveset. So the different types of moves that can be performed in contests are Cool, Beauty, Tough, Smart, and Cute. So there are 5 types in order to consider. Each one specializes in different attributes, and just want to very carefully plan out which movesets on your Pokemon would be the best for each contest. Since Gladys is the only member of her team to have contest moves of one specific type, we're gonna go with her. Now the next bit of prep we need to do is go over to the Berry Blender. Oh, do you want to make some Pokeblocks with this old timer? Yes, we do. So the Berry Blender is how we're able to craft items in order to affect our Pokemon's abilities in contests. So what you want to do is go to a berry selection and hit Check Tag. This gives you an idea on the flavor of a specific berry, as the flavor will be important to boosting your Pokemon's appeal during a contest. So what we want to look for with entering Gladys in this contest, we want berries that are spicy in nature, like this pineapple berry. So we're going to select this as our option here. And the other person will select another berry in order to go into this. Now we have ourselves a bit of a mini game where we have to time our presses, try to get it as center as you can with your marker on the corner of the blender. You just want to make sure it lines up with the spinning arrow at the center of the blender in order to get the best effect. The closer to the middle you get, the better the effect. And also, don't try to miss, because that could be very bad for us. Alright, so let us choose another berry for our selection. So, in terms of what's good for these, any of the berries that are listed as a Pokeblock ingredient are typically great for these, but you can also use other berry types. So we were to check up here, Slepa, that's a bit too much of different things. But Cherry Berry is pretty spicy, so how about we go with one of these? Just drop the cherry in. Of course, we got our buddy putting in another berry type. But hopefully it should prioritize the berries you put in when it comes to the flavor. You're also able to use berry blenders with another player, which is a very nice way to be able to synchronize things with other players, as you will both receive Pokeblocks by completing this mission, which could definitely be very nice for you. Now, there is another thing relating to Pokeblocks that could be useful to you when it comes to raising a very specific Pokemon. So, all I'll say on that matter is be sure to grab a lot of berries that have dry flavor. So specifically how the berries relate to the contest types is berries that are spicy will improve a Pokemon in a cool contest. Berries that are dry are good for beauty contests. Berries that are sweet are good for cute contests. Berries that are bitter are good for smart contests. And then berries that are sour are good for tough contests. Keep that in mind, and you should have a pretty good idea on how you can best prepare your Pokemon for these events. Okay, now that we have blended our berries, it's time to select our Pokeblock case, which is where we store the berries that we have made using the blender. So simply select the Pokeblock that you feel will be the best to give to a specific Pokemon, and then we'll bring it to this screen, which is the condition menu, showing in which of your Pokemon's stats the Pokemon will excel at. You have a limited number of Pokeblocks that you can feed to a Pokemon, as indicated by the little sparkle around the Pokemon's picture. Once you manage to get a full ring of sparkles, that means that Pokemon will no longer be able to consume Pokeblocks to boost their condition. So you definitely want to be careful about that. And of course, a Pokemon's nature is also very good for determining which Pokeblocks that Pokemon will enjoy eating. So in the case of Gladys, she has a plus attack nature. So she really likes the flavor of spicy berries. So she definitely enjoyed the taste of the red Pokeblocks more than the purple one we gave her at the start. And of course, you can check your Pokemon's condition in the Pokenav, which is a very handy tool if you want to just keep track of all of your Pokemon's contest stats if you want to go for the big win here. And now that our Pokemon is prepared with their condition, as we built up her coolness a bit, it's time to actually enter the contest. In order to start your contest journey, you have to go to the contest hall here in Verdanturf Town. Anyone with a contest pass may enter. If you don't have one, I can issue one for you right now. Would you like me to issue you a contest pass? Sure thing. Here you go. And with that, we get ourselves the contest pass. A Pokemon contest involves 4 trainers entering 1 Pokemon each in competitive judging. A contest is 2 stages of judging, primary and secondary. Primary judging is a popularity poll involving the audience. Secondary judging features appeals by the Pokemon using their moves. Plan appeals carefully to earn the most attention of the judge and excite the audience. Do your best to stand out. The primary and secondary scores are added at the end. The Pokemon garnering the highest score is declared the winner. Would you like to enter a Pokemon in our contest? Yes, we shall. So you can specifically choose the type of contest you're able to do. In this case, we're going for a cool contest. And we're entering Gladys. Is that your contest Pokemon? Yes, it is. Okay, your Pokemon will be entered in this contest. Your Pokemon is entry number 4. The contest will begin shortly. Please come in through here. Good luck. Hello, we're just getting started with a normal ranked Pokemon Cool contest. The participating trainers and their Pokemon are as follows. Madison's Tate. So we're dealing with another member of Gladys's evolution line here. Entry number 2, Mariah's Ronar. It's actually cool, one of the few times we get to see NPCs that nickname their Pokemon. Chance's Raikalek. And then finally, we have Gladys. So because of our Pokemon's condition, that will relate to how many hearts you see appear above the audience. So improving your Pokemon's condition will get them more points in the first round. Definitely good to boost your Pokemon's condition as much as you can for a specific contest you want to enter them. And then we got ourselves the main event here, which is selecting a Pokemon attack and then using that to build up appeal. Alright, so what we want to do, since we're in the lead, we want to try to avoid being startled by opponents. So we're going to lead with Double Team. Now, during these contests, it is highly recommended to use moves that are the same type as the contest entered. So in the case of this one, since we have entirely cool moves, we're going to be good. And using a move that matches the type of the contest will earn you an extra point, which is definitely very nice. So the opponent here is going with Thunder. It's going to attempt to startle us. But thankfully, because we set up with Double Team, we managed to avoid losing points. And using moves of the same type as the contest will also result in... Oh, damn, Tate got a lot of points there. Using moves of the same type will increase the applause meter. And when it gets up to 5 points, oh boy, something good can happen. Ooh, so one of our moves is Red. I see that as being a very good move that we can select here. Yeah, we're gonna go for a Quick Attack, because I feel like that would sync up really nicely with the moves we already use. Damn, this Tate is doing really good so far. Look at all those points! Damn, bird. Alright, some attacks can affect the turn at which moves will be able... well, which Pokemon will be able to act in the next round. So specifically for this one, they managed to shuffle up the turn order. Except that we managed to get a very good score by using the secondary effect of Quick Attack, which places us first in the turn order, which would be very good. Alright, I feel like we have set ourselves up really well for being able to appeal here. Alright, so now we're going to want to go for just a really big move. Something that will be... Wing Attack isn't really going to work too well. Also, I recommend not using the same attack twice in a row, as that will actually affect your appeal in a bad way. Other options, I feel like Double Team is our best bet, so let's go with that. So Gladys is going to use Double Team here, and that should max out the applause meter. So yep, once that's maxed out, you just gain a ton of points. So we are looking pretty good so far in our ranking here. We are going to do oh so well. I don't know if we'll be able to get another chance at this, but at the very least we got a pretty good score here. That guy's going for Thunder. We're at least protected for one turn, so managed to avoid losing any points here. Definitely appreciate you affecting that bird. So yep, our points really shot up from that. So now that we're commanding the lead, what are we gonna do here? Other options, I think we're actually gonna lead with, actually Quick Attack. We got that bonus that we can do a double team. But at the same time, Wing Attack, I think. Yeah, we should be able to get more points if we do Wing Attack. So let's try this out. Gladys's coolness went over great. Aw, darn it, we didn't get the point modifier. So I think that specifically needs to be done after an opponent. So we didn't quite get what we needed from the previous round. And the guy's going for Spark. Alright, you're gonna lower the points on that bird. I'm very grateful for that, but... ah, geez, Recollect just got a ton of points out of that. Yeah, I really should have... I really should have gone for Quick Attack in that previous turn. Alright, this is our final appeal, so let's just go for Double Team in case someone tries to jam us. I wish things could have gone a bit better, but our score should be pretty good by the end of this. Alright, so that prevents us from losing points for at least one turn. But now someone else could potentially sabotage us. Alright, Recollect loses his points, which I'm very happy about. Then Tate is gonna get a bunch. Yeah, sometimes it can actually be beneficial to use moves that are not of that contest typing if you think it'll earn you more points. But that's it for the judging round. We managed to end this round with the most points, so I feel like we may have gotten the win here. Thank you all for a most wonderful display of quality appeals. This concludes all judging. Thank you for your fine efforts. Now there remains the pulse-pounding proclamation of the winner. The judge looks ready to make the announcement. I will now declare the winner! So looking at our score here, yep, I definitely think we got this. We have the most stars and the most hearts. So victory goes to Gladys. Woo, that feels good. Yes, now everyone knows of my gracious beauty. Please accept your prize. We confer on you this ribbon as your prize. And that gets put on Gladys. So, what exactly is our prize for winning the contest? Well, if we check her Pokemon here, we can now see on Pokemon skills that she has at least one ribbon. So that is going to relate to something that is just kind of neat. So now we can check our ribbons over here in the Pokenav, which will show that Gladys indeed has a ribbon. So we got a cool contest normal rank winner ribbon. You can receive ribbons for each of the 5 different types of contests up to 4 ranks. The last one, of course, being master rank. Ribbons are quite the neat little prize that you can have a Pokemon earn. as there's actually quite a few challenges in the community where people try to accumulate as many ribbons as possible on a single Pokemon. And since the Generation 3 games are the earliest point in the series where you can obtain ribbons, a lot of people would start out their ribbon journey here by playing Ruby and Sapphire, earning the ribbons from the contest, and then eventually trading them up to the more modern games in order to get other ribbons accessible in different games. So it's definitely a neat little bit of a cosmetic reward you can have on specific Pokemon. But yet very happy that we are able to win our first contest here. Oh, also after you win a contest... Ah, man, we actually left before we could get an interview with that guy. But if we now check this portrait over here, we can see that Gladys's portrait is now on the wall. Very good. I'm wondering if there's any more NPCs around here that could potentially give us stuff. As I remember in Emerald, there were some NPCs that were in specific areas that replace the contest halls that could give you TMs, but I'm not sure if we're going to see any of those here in this game. So yeah, you'll occasionally find people over at the actual contest stage, though there isn't really much reason to come over here. But yep, that's basically what you need to know about contests. Simply enter with a Pokemon with a good condition and who has a compatible moveset to be able to get the highest appeal you can and earn your way up the rankings. It's definitely a nice little thing you're able to do here, but for this specific challenge, that was more of a distraction than anything that's going to be really integral to our Pokemon journey. But with that said, oh boy, we got ourselves a lot we got to prepare for. So what I would like to do now, we're coming back to Mauville City, and I'd like to buy a couple more healing items before we're ready for this fight. Just want to make sure we're stocked up and ready. So in between sessions, I was actually doing a bit of training, and we managed to get a couple of nuggets from Mickey, so that earned us quite a bit of money. But yeah, hopefully we should have a good supply. Let's raise this up to at least 10 super potions. So we want to be as prepared as we possibly can. We could potentially buy more items, but I feel like this will be fine. And I already have an X attack, so I don't think we're going to be too worried about that. I don't really see any other X items being too useful around here. I really wish we had the X item that raises special defense before going into this gym, but sadly that is not currently in the cards. But we got ourselves a fight ahead of us, and it is going to be very challenging. I don't know just how this is going to go. If anyone's familiar with a lot of classic Pokémon Nuzlocke videos that have been uploaded to YouTube, you know this gym can be a rough one. Let's do this. Hey, how's it going, Champion-bound Hayden? Watson, the leader of Mauville Gym, uses Electric-type Pokemon. If you challenge him with Water-type Pokemon, he'll zap him. Psst. And he's putting switch-controlled doors all over his gym. Eccentric! Hey, go for it! So the obvious theming around here is electricity. We're going to be dealing with a lot of Electric-type Pokemon, and we have a great number of different traps that we can see in this area. I'm going to go ahead and fight all the trainers around here just because we can. And, you know, it'll be good experience for the fight ahead. So the Electric type are typically going to be very fast Pokemon. They are very fast and will usually have moves and abilities that can paralyze opponents, giving them even more of a speed advantage, and also preventing opponents from being able to act in battle. So yeah, these guys definitely have some good strengths to them. The main thing you want to watch out for here is if you bring water and flying type Pokemon, as electric are super effective against those types. And yeah, they can be a real pain to deal with. I'm gonna have Carl yawn this Magnemite, so we don't have to worry too much about you. And let's switch over to Titania. So I'm definitely expecting Titania is going to be really useful in this fight, specifically because she has access to the move Mud Slap, which is able to do a lot of damage to some of the Pokemon around here. It honestly doesn't have great base power, and yeah, just looking at the damage it did to that Magnemite, I'm not exactly too excited, given what we're going to be up against. But it is one of our best combat options in this area. Also expect to see a number of steel types in this area, especially on the gym leader. Oh boy, that's going to be rough. Let's have Shari lead this next battle. This gym's got puzzles. Isn't it fun? I mean, kind of. So, youngster Ben here has actually got himself a Zigzagoon. So just because it's not the type of this gym doesn't mean it doesn't have moves of that typing. Specifically, I think the Zigzagoon has Thunderbolt, so definitely watch out for that. Yeah, Shari should easily be able to handle this thing. It's no fun to lose. Yeah, but the more you lose, the more you learn from it, you know? And believe me, we definitely got some things to prepare for. Now, this may seem counterintuitive to your intended strategies in this area, but I actually want to lead with Gladys for this next fight. With my charm and my Pokemon's moves, you'll be shocked. So this girl is a battle girl. And battle girls will traditionally have Meta-type on their team. So this is a good opponent for Gladys to go up against just to quickly damage this thing. Definitely want to watch out because this thing should have the move Thunder Punch, which can hurt quite a bit, even with Meta-types. Admittedly not the greatest physical stats. So got one more guy over here to deal with. And hit that switch in order to change the position of the electric gates. And let's get Shari back out here. I trained under Watson. There ain't no way I'd lose easily. We'll see about that, buddy. Guitarist Sean has got himself a Voltorb. I believe if you're playing Emerald, you can also find a Bugmaniac in this gym, who will use Ilamise and Volbeat. So those are definitely things we want to bear in mind for this area. So this guy should either just have a full team of Voltorb, or maybe something else. So definitely watch out for that particular move. Charge will increase the damage of the next electric-type move that a Pokemon uses. And trust me, I've seen a lot of good action from that move when I was playing Legend ZA a couple weeks ago, as it's pretty much one of the best moves that my Electros has in order to buff the damage of its attacks before just unleashing hell upon my opponents. Like that, we were able to handle this fight. Unplugged and turned off. Oh boy, the gym leader is right ahead, so I am not going to be facing him right away. I do want to make an adjustment to our team before we enter. So let's go heal up at the center. So pretty much what I'm expecting with this gym is that this is going to be a do or die battle. Because if we cannot beat this gym with our main team here, I do not see us being able to handle this. So what I'd like to do is switch out Shari. So not Shari. We want to replace Gladys, as she is not going to be useful in this gym at all. As a flying type, she will just easily get taken out by opponents. And especially true for our Gyarados Fillet. Due to being a water flying type, he is going to take so much damage to electricity, so do not recommend bringing him aboard. So I believe this really is the best team we have for this fight. All of our other options in the PC aren't going to be good against this gym. Also, I want to highlight that in between stream sessions, I actually managed to evolve Shinobi the Nincada, so now we got ourselves evolved into a Ninjask. However, that's not the only new Pokemon we got out of this. So Nincada is a very unique Pokemon as they're based on cicadas. And as we all know, when a cicada molts from its old form into its adult stage, they tend to leave behind shells in their wake. So when a Nincada manages to evolve, if you have a free space in your party, you end up finding this thing, Shedinja. This is a very unique Pokemon. It is a bug ghost type, which I believe is the only bug ghost type in the series at this point. And it has the exclusive ability Wonder Guard, which makes it so that only attacks that deal super effective damage are able to hit this Pokemon, which is good, because this Pokemon has only 1 HP. For the entirety of its life cycle, it will only have 1 HP. No amount of vitamins in order to boost HP will be able to do this. It will always have that much, which makes you wonder why it even has defense and special defense stats. So yeah, definitely a very unique Pokemon. So you think with its ability, that means you only have to watch out for super effective damage against this thing. Not so. It can also be damaged by indirect methods. So inflicting a status ailment such as poison or burn can take it out. It can also die due to entry hazards like spikes. And it can also get taken out by certain weather like sandstorm and hail. So yeah, you definitely want to watch out when using this Pokemon. In a Nuzlocke run, there are specific battles where you could completely dominate an opponent by having a Shedinja in battle, as you'll be able to easily defeat the opponent without having to worry about getting hit. So yeah, it could just be a free win button if you manage to actually pull that off. But for us, oh boy, we got ourselves a tough battle ahead. If we're not able to win this with this team, I am fairly certain that we are just done with this run, which I certainly do not want to end at this point. So what I would also recommend for this fight, considering our options here, I want to give some berries to our Pokemon. Specifically, I want to give cherry berries, as these are able to protect our Pokemon if they are paralyzed. And that's going to be very integral to what we're going to be seeing here in this gym. Carl, you can keep the Silk Scarf. Echo, you can keep King's Rock, and Shari can keep the Black Glasses. Besides that, I think we are just about done here. We're gonna switch Titania into the lead due to her having Mud Slap. But, yeah, this one is gonna be rough. We could train up our Pokemon some more, but I feel like doing it at this level, where we're about on par with the levels of our enemy, is gonna give us the best challenge while also not making things too easy for us, you know? Oh man, I am so stressed about this fight. Hopefully we're able to pull through. Also, before this battle, I do want to note one other thing. So in between training, I managed to get a new move on Mickey, which is Mud Sport. This is a move that will protect your team from electric damage in order to reduce that temporarily. Could be useful to us in this next fight. I would also like to note that of the options of moves that we've acquired pretty recently, we managed to get the move Rock Smash, which is a fighting type move and could be useful to you for this fight, in theory. If we could actually try and teach this to a Pokemon, look at the damage this thing does. 20 base power. Yeah, it has a chance of lowering defense, but that damage is just so pitiful. It's not worth using in this gym. Again, if you're playing Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire, this isn't too bad because you have access to TMs that can really help you blitz through this fight. But we don't have that luxury here in the Generation 3 games. Oh man, I am so stressed out about this, but nothing more that we can do here. Let's just fight this guy and hope for the best. Let's do this. I've given up on my plans to convert the city, I have. And so I put my time into making door traps in my gym. Oh, now what are you doing here? What's that? You say you've gone past all my rigged doors? Ha-ha, now that's amusing. Then I, Watson, the leader of Mauville Gym, shall electrify you! Watson here. Oh boy, this fight. This frickin' fight. He's leading with a Magnemite. As we saw before, these things are very defensive. So this guy here really likes to try and hamper your Pokemon as much as possible. His Pokemon can use attacks in order to lower your... Well, he'll be able to confuse you or paralyze you. He is just really nasty if you let him actually set up on you and just completely cripple your team. We managed to get an easy win with Titania there. Next up, he's going to Voltorb. Against this thing, I want to do some setup. So we're going to quickly switch on over to Mickey against this thing. And he's just going to use Self-Destruct, sure. So Self-Destruct there. That is a self-KO attack that can do massive damage to a Pokemon. That's the main thing I was worried about that Voltorb potentially doing. Also, the fact that thing was planning on doing that to frickin' Titania, just a really weird choice, all things considered. Yeah, we need to heal up Mickey so that he's able to take the whatever this thing is gonna do. Alright, this attack. Watson's ace, Magneton, has Shockwave, and oh boy, is this thing nasty. We should be able to outspeed this thing, so we're going to set up with Mud Sport in order to lower the damage this thing can do to us. Then we'll see what happens. Okay, it's going for Thunder Wave. At the very least, we should be protected from damage. We're going to use up our Berry, but that's perfectly fine. Alright, what I want to do here is we're going to tail whip this thing as much as possible to lower its defense as much as we can. Alright, it's using Thunder Wave again. Luckily, shouldn't have to worry too much about damage here. Definitely watch out when it uses Sonic Boom, as that can really do a number on your team. It does a set amount of damage. Specifically, it will do 20 damage per hit, so definitely watch out for that. I'm gonna go ahead and use a full restore in order to replenish Mickey's strength there. And let's see what we got here. Yeah, Mud Sport is definitely doing good work in protecting us against this thing. Otherwise, this Magneton is a pain to deal with. Alright, it's just confused Mickey. Let's keep going with the defense drops. We currently got 3 on this thing. I want to get this thing down to 6 drops. Which, yeah, is a lot, but trust me, it is worth it. Just need to lower this thing's defense as much as possible, because we don't really have a lot of good options against this thing. Alright, I believe we have you at 4 at this point. So I don't want to risk getting ourselves hit, so let's full restore again. There's another Sonic Boom. Shouldn't have to worry too much about that. Yeah, good thing with full restores is that they also heal confusion, so that's really good for handling this thing. Alright, we should be pretty good here. So I believe one more defense drop is all we need on this thing. God, come on. Let's full restore again. Here comes another Shockwave. This shouldn't do too much damage because we still got Mud Sport in effect. Okay, looking at things here, we have used Tail Whip a total of 6 times, since our power points are now 24 as opposed to 30. So this thing is as low as it can possibly get. Now let's go on the offensive. Headbutt. Oh my god, we actually got this. We actually got this, and we're doing this with Mickey. Come on, one more hit's all we need. Don't. Okay, that thing is definitely gonna heal up. So, we might as well go for another heal. We have plenty of full restores. Mickey's been picking up a lot of these over the course of our journey, so we're gonna go ahead and do that. So Magneton's gonna heal a bit, but we should be good to get this finale done. Woo! Critical hit! It's over! Oh my god, I was so worried about this battle. That Magneton is such a beast because it has such high defense and special attack. And Shockwave is just does so much damage and also cannot miss. But we were able to do it. Oh man, I am so frickin' happy about this result. Fine, I lost. You ended up giving me a thrill. Take this badge. Definitely a hard-won victory. Another strategy I would have potentially gone with is having Liam in this fight, since as a grass type he has a resistance to electric type moves. But no, we were able to pull through with Mickey. Oh man, that was a good fight. So flippin' good. With a Dynamo badge, Pokemon can use Rock Smash out of battle. And it'll make your Pokemon a little bit faster too. You should take this too. And we get TM34. That TM34 there contains Shockwave. It's a trustworthy move that never misses. You can count on it. Aw man, that went so well. I was truly expecting us to leave this battle with at least one fatality, but it never happened. God, I am so frickin' proud of this team. Ah, that was so good. So, Mickey, how do you feel about that battle we just did, bro? Well, let it be said that I never contributed anything positive to this team. So you better make this worth my while. Don't worry, buddy. We'll get you anything you need. But now that that battle is done, we're pretty much ready to go forward. This fight is just really tough because you really don't have too many good ground-type options to be able to handle that Magneton this early into the game. Like, you don't get any ground moves on Nincada, and pretty much your only ground type you can get besides potentially Marshtomp if you pick Mudkip is Geodude in the Granite Cave, which is the only place you can catch that Pokemon at this point of the game. So, yeah, your options against that Magneton are really limited. when it comes to the starter options, Combuskin is pretty good in this fight because it has some really super effective attacks it can use. And then, if you have a Marshtomp, then that's pretty much a fast pass to getting the Dynamo badge from Watson. But, thanks to our careful planning, we were able to win another gym battle. So how about we teach ourselves Rock Smash, now that we have this available, to Mickey, as, you know, he's going to be our main HM user of this playthrough. Tail Whip could still be pretty useful to us, but I don't believe we're going to need Mud Sport going forward, as we're not really going to see Electric-type Pokemon on any more major trainers in this adventure. So, yeah, we're not going to worry too much about that. But yeah, now that we have access to Rock Smash, you can go back to Granite Cave and attempt to add Nose Pass to your team or use it to fill up the Pokedex. However, there is some unfinished business we have now that we have access to this move. But before we go any further, I want to quickly move around some of our Pokemon. So I want to bring Gladys back in. Sorry we didn't get to use you lately, Echo, but don't worry, you'll get some use. And I also want to bring in Filet, since they could use a bit more experience. Carl could take a break for a bit. Aw, man. That battle was stressing me out for so many days, as I knew we didn't have a really clear advantage against this gym. And then Mickey just comes in and steamrolls the final Pokemon with such ease. Really shows how amazing these Nuzlocke runs could be at building up a impressive story of being able to go through all these challenges. God, I love it so much. But yeah, we want to return to Rust Turf Tunnel now that we have earned this gym badge, as we are now able to break rocks. Mickey, go do it. Fine, fine, but you owe me after this. Wow, you shattered that boulder block in the way. To show you how much I appreciate it, I'd like you to have this HM. And we get HM4 for this. That HM contains strength. If a muscular Pokemon were to learn that, it would be able to move even large boulders. Wanda! Now I can see you anytime.
That's wonderful. Please, take some rest in my home.
And because we have to, and I hate seeing things go asymmetrical over here. Actually, I really do like asymmetric designs when it comes to, like, characters and event set pieces here. But at the same time, the obsessive compulsiveness in my brain is telling me that we gotta break this last rock, even if there is no reason for us to do so. So, that new move we got, Strength. This is a very good move. In fact, I would recommend teaching it to as many normal-type Pokemon as you got, or really good physical attackers like Filet. So Strength, if we go into our options here, this is an 80 base power normal type attack. So yeah, this thing is really good to give to your normal types this early on in the adventure. It does such good damage, and when combined with the stab bonus, they will really bring on the hurt on opponents. And it also has utility that we'll eventually get to see on this adventure, but for now, it's just a very solid damaging attack. Definitely recommend teaching this compared to some of the other HMs we picked up, because this one is a very reliable move, and we'll definitely see a lot of action with this one going forward. Oh man, I am so happy that we managed to get through this. Because that gym can easily bottleneck you if you're not prepared. Like, Roxanne has a pretty sturdy Pokemon with Nose Pass, but like, your starter option should easily give you a good advantage against that thing. And then when it comes to Brawly, Flying-type Pokemon really aren't that uncommon in this game, so he's not too tricky to deal with. But God, Watson, he's the real deal. So now that we have managed to unblock the Rust Turf Tunnel, we can see that Wanda and her boyfriend are now staying over here. You are? Oh, right, I get it. You're the Hayden who Wally was telling me about. I'm Wally's cousin. Glad to meet you. I think Wally's become a lot more lively and healthy since he came here. So Wally's a pretty major Pokemon character here, and yet we don't really get much identity to Wanda in, like, any spin-off material. Thanks to you, I can see my girlfriend every day. Hey, happy? You bet I am. Yeah, you're gonna be happy for a number of reasons. It's amazing. My daughter's boyfriend was digging the tunnel by hand. It's so incredible. Really goes to show how much he was willing to do just to see the woman he loved. Good for them. I hope they manage to spend the rest of their lives together. But with that, that's officially everything I want to do around Mauville City. Not counting getting some new things at the game corner, though it's probably going to be a while just because we don't have that great of a supply of money. But I'll probably visit this area time in between streams just to see if we can accumulate more coins. But with that, we are done with this area. So now it's time to head up to Route 111 to continue our story. And we can do so right over here. This rock appears to be breakable. So now we can break the rocks over here, blocking our path forward. And we're definitely going to see a lot around here. If you don't raise your Pokemon some more, it can be tough to keep winning up through the ranks. I've heard the Pokemon League's Elite Four are far stronger than any gym leader. Yeah, highly recommend when doing these games, make sure your team is trained up and prepared for the upcoming fights. Things can get pretty challenging. For what's coming up here, I'm actually going to switch to these two. Oh, we just spotted tough-looking trainer here of all places. Okay, roll camera. Let's get this interview. So here are some of the more famous NPCs that we'll see here in this adventure. Interviewer Gabby and Ty. Gabby is the girl with the microphone, and Ty is the man with the camera. So these two are quite unique as far as NPCs go. We're able to challenge them to a double battle whenever we see them, and their team will grow over the course of the adventure whenever we run into them. So they're certainly helpful if you want an additional opponent in order to grind against. So we got to deal with both a Whismur and a Magnemite on their team. We dealt with these Pokemon plenty of times, so shouldn't be too much to worry about here. Alright, this Magnemite's definitely going to go down after this. Good work, Shari. And get a level up on Shari. My eyes didn't lie. I did discover an astonishing trainer. I mean, I am a Pokemon contest winner. Awesome! Who are you? I knew we were onto something wild when we spotted you. Oh, please let me explain. We travel around everywhere interviewing all sorts of trainers. So, would you give us a bit of your time for an interview? Sure thing. You will? Thank you! Okay, I need you to describe your feelings about our battle, but it has to be short and sweet. Go! Alright, so how are we feeling about that specific battle? It went pretty well. I guess I could say I enjoyed it. Yeah, that's the perfect clincher. I get the feeling this will make a great TV show. There's a chance they'll air this on TV, so make sure to look for us. Okay, we'll be seeing you. That was definitely a fun time getting to hang out with those two. However, we definitely got ourselves a lot more we need to worry about. So this route actually isn't too long. I mean, it technically is, but we're not going to be able to see everything around here just yet. You're a natural. Got me some prime footage right here. Thank you for that. I don't know where you're going, but would you like to battle? Sure thing. It's been a while since we had a duel that I wasn't completely nervous about. So we'll definitely take this opportunity here. Just got ourselves some normal opponents we're going to be dealing with for a bit. So what are some things that we can discuss here? So pretty recently, I've mostly been focusing on my continued quest to level up my Genshin Impact characters, and I just managed to get Aoife caught up with the rest of my team, so that's definitely very nice. I also tried to pull for Columbina earlier, and I ended up pulling a character who I already maxed out my frickin' constellation with them, so like, I got no real benefit from pulling that character again. So yeah, definitely not having too much good luck with my pulls in that game. And probably going to be taking a break from Genshin in February, as I definitely want to pour more time into Final Fantasy VII Remake, as I've been playing that pretty recently, and I've been really enjoying that game so far. Like, there's definitely a lot of unique changes between the original game and the remake that I really do enjoy. Namely, one of the things I did recently was a mission where I was teaming up with Jessie, Biggs, and Wedge in order to take care of things for the upcoming mission that will eventually lead us to another Mako reactor. And that whole sequence was just really good. Really liked getting some more time to spend with Jessie, Biggs, and Wedge, considering that in the original game, we didn't really get a whole lot of time with them until the big moment with those characters during the Midgar portion of the game. So yeah, I'm definitely very grateful to have more time to spend with those guys. So you see up here, there's more of a desert area on this route. The sandstorm is vicious. It's impossible to keep going. So yeah, we're not able to fully explore this route because of the sandstorm making it difficult to navigate. So we're just going to move over here. And we arrive in Route 112. So this area should give us a new opportunity to catch a Pokemon. And we got ourselves... Oh, Machop! That could be quite good for us. We've been looking for a fighting type to add to the team. So this is quite good. We're going to go for Bite to damage you, since that's a not very effective attack. And can also flinch you. So Machop could definitely be really good, as it's a very powerful physical attacker. And considering one battle that's coming up in the future, yeah, this could be a really good addition to our team. So we're gonna go ahead and bring you aboard. Hey, I don't want you to break out of my balls, buddy. Get in there. There we go. Managed to get herself a Machop. So you'll definitely be worth training up later on. So got ourselves the superpower Pokemon. Machop exercises by hefting around a Graveler as if it were a barbell. There are some Machop that travel the world in a quest to master all kinds of martial arts. Well, I could think of one particular name for you that would be very fitting. So we're gonna call you Marshall. I definitely think that is fitting for a very macho Pokemon like you. Now that's taken care of. We got ourselves some more characters to deal with around here. So I forgot to mention it, but around this point, we'll start to run into campers and picnickers. So their teams tend to be on the pretty low side when it comes to the tier of Pokemon they use. So you'll usually see grass-type Pokemon in their teams, among others. Really not too bad, all things considered. We're definitely going to enjoy all the free experience Filet is getting here. Oh, Nuzleaf. I believe we saw these before, but they're the evolution of Seedot, and they are Grass Dark.
Wow!
Take that. Alright, for this next one, how about we give Gladys a chance to shine here? Like, she's already had plenty of time to shine, considering that she was our contest star. But she could also use a couple more levels, since she totally missed out on that gym battle we just did. Oh, we got Carol. It's always been a name for a character I always enjoy. Definitely getting to see how much stronger Gladys is as a Swellow. compared to how she was as a Tailo. Yeah, this is definitely a really good Pokemon. One that does get better in some of the later games, but this is still a good running for Swellow. It can be commonly seen as just another normal flying type like Pidgeot, but this one still has some really good strengths to it, especially since it has the Guts ability, which can definitely be nice. Ooh, we got some hikers around here, so let's switch Liam into the front. My legs are solid from pounding up and down the mountains. They're not gonna buckle easily, friend. But yeah, like I said before, I'm definitely excited to begin playing some more Final Fantasy VII Remake. Because, aw man, my impressions of the game so far are really good with what they have added to the story of the original game. And I am also very excited to eventually try out Rebirth, as that's going to have us actually exploring more of the world outside of Midgar. And yeah, that's definitely going to be a fun time. I definitely have a lot of experience going through that particular iteration of the Final Fantasy series, as I have previously streamed Final Fantasy VII on my Twitch channel back in the day. That was such a fun playthrough. I'm really looking forward to eventually uploading the VODs, because my god, I love that game so much. But I also want to revisit other Final Fantasy games sometime in the future. Like, I definitely want to try and finish up Final Fantasy VI, as I'm pretty much set to take on the final dungeon of that game. And then I also want to go back to Final Fantasy XII, as that was a childhood game of mine that I never got to beat as a kid. And even to this day, despite getting considerably far in it these days, I still have not managed to actually beat it. But trust me, I will eventually get around to finishing up that game at some point. But for now, I'm going to be focusing on 7 Remake when it comes to Final Fantasy games. Ooh, got a Numel here. It's probably not a good idea to have Liam against this guy. Filet is pretty much like the best option we have against Numel. Due to being water and flying, he resists fire attacks and is completely immune to ground. So there's basically nothing this Numel can do to Filet that could actually damage him. There we go. Very good. And we got a level up for Liam. Very good. It's actually kind of funny looking back on the first Nuzlocke run I did of the Gen 3 games was on Ruby back in the day. And I did actually use a Trico during that game. And when I went up against Watson, for whatever reason, I chose my Grovyle to use against Watson's Voltorb, and he ended up fainting due to Voltorb's self-destruct. So, you know, very nice to finally bring a Grovyle this far into a classic Gen 3 game, you know? Alright, so we can see that there's a gondola over here that could take us higher up the mountain, but Team Aqua is currently blocking it. So, we're going to leave that for now and head into this area, Fiery Path. So this area has a lot of new Pokemon available to us, so definitely some good options here. And then there's this thing. Ugh, I am not really a fan of Grimer. I mean, it's not too bad in this game, but yeah, this one really isn't that great. I mean, it does have good physical attack, which complements its typing, and it has good special defense as well. But besides that, it's really not that great. It's mainly going in order to nerf opponents by inflicting statuses like poison, and that's basically it. But hey, it's a new Pokemon. I certainly would have appreciated some of the other things we could have gotten here, because there's some really powerful fire types we could have gotten in this area. Grimer emerged in the sludge that settled on a polluted seabed. This Pokemon loves anything filthy. It constantly leaks a horribly germ-infested fluid from all over its body. So yeah, this little lady here is certainly toxic. thinking we'll name you Mallory, as it sounds very similar to Malady. I don't know, that seems kind of fitting. Also, I can think of some pretty toxic Mallorys in fiction. So, you know, that's appropriate for that. Oh god, this thing. This is the Pokemon I would have really liked to get in this area. Torkoal here is a Fire-type Pokemon. It has really good defensive stats and is actually a really good attacker, as it can use its fire moves pretty nicely with its special attack. Yeah, this thing would have been really good for us to get, especially because we need a fire type for this team. But sadly, it wasn't in the cards. We can see that there's a large boulder here. We would be able to push this with strength, but not until we get the next gym badge. So we're just going to be moving forward. You can also run into Machop in this area, so that's something else to consider. There's actually a few opportunities where you can catch Machop around here, so definitely a good chance of picking these guys up. There's also some other things coming up that would be quite nice, but I don't know if we're going to get the opportunity for that. It all depends on how the dice are going to roll. Also, I believe you can find Numel in this area. Not you. I don't want to see you, Machop. I already have one of you. Alright, I think Gladys is gonna get a level up from this. Very nice. I'm definitely happy about that, as Gladys is gonna be a very helpful teammate to us on this journey, I can tell. Alright, we're back on Route 112. Yeah, this route is also divided into two segments, as we got the section before the fiery path, and then we have this section on the other side. Good opportunity to get berries over here, and also a good spot if you want to cultivate some berries, because we got a lot of different dirt patches over here. So I believe in Emerald, as well as Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire, there's some trainers around here you can fight, but they don't appear to be here in Ruby and Sapphire, so we'll just move on. We got this guy. So we see we're back on the other side of Route 111. But sadly, we're not going to be able to get farther around here. It's like any attempt to get to a point where you can enter the sand here is going to be completely negated. However, there is this slope over here that we could ride with our Mach Bike. We can time this right. We can go up onto this cliff with a Mach Bike and get to a pretty elusive area of the map. I would like to lead with Filet against this guy, considering we have yet another fighter to deal with. To train myself, I challenge all whom I meet. It's one of the more elusive trainers because you need a bicycle in order to get up to him. And we got Daisuke. Yeah, just one of the familiar black belts that we've encountered plenty of times in this adventure. Nothing too much to worry about. Definitely like having Filet lead in battles, as that intimidates really good for nerfing opponents. Yeah, I can definitely see Filet being an integral member of this team. Uncle, I give up! I ain't your uncle. In fact, you're probably older than me. All I can do is keep training until I can defeat strong trainers such as yourself. What a shame. So you can also see another way to get up here on the northern end of this area. However, we're not going to worry too much about that. So now that we have dealt with this, got this guy to deal with. Let's see what you got. Show me how much you toughen your Pokemon. Now, this trainer here is going to be fairly unique. This is a cool trainer. Yeah, I'm used to calling these guys ace trainers, but in this generation, they're cool trainers. So these guys will tend to use a wide variety of Pokemon. specifically ones that can be pretty darn good in combat. So he's got himself an Electrike, which is obviously a very speedy and strong Pokemon, so good for him. Ooh, I do not like that paralysis on Liam, but we're pretty close to an area where we can heal up, so not too worried about this. Yeah, cool trainers you'll definitely want to watch out for, because they got some pretty strong Pokemon on their teams. So after dealing with you, what else do we got? Got a Wailmer. Alrighty, I've dealt with these guys plenty of times. Alright, thank goodness. I would have really been upset if that paralysis triggered and just made it really bad for us to be able to handle this guy. Considering that rollout this thing could potentially do to us. Good work, Liam. Very happy about that fight. And we got ourselves a Makuhita. Nah, Liam's paralyzed. Might as well switch out. Filet, you can do this. Yeah, you can definitely see why Gyarados is such a good Pokemon in Nuzlocke runs. It has such great stats, even in late game. It's such a formidable attacker. But in the early game especially, it just dominates everything in its path, and has such a great ability. God, I love this thing. And after dealing with that, we can talk to this guy. What's that? What am I doing? I'm thinking about making my own room here using a Pokemon move. I know, I'll give you this TM. You use it to make your own room? Yeah, sure, why not? TM 43. Find a big tree that looks like it might drop some vines. Use secret power in front of the tree. Some vines should get free and drop down so you can climb the tree. You'll find a lot of space for putting your favorite things. It'll be your own secret room. A secret base. You should make one too. Another thing, you don't always have to make your secret base in a tree. Try using secret power on rock walls that have small indents in them. I'm gonna look for other places too. Okay, bye! And that guy is just gonna move on. So, in Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire, that NPC actually becomes a unique character named Airune, who is totally involved with the whole secret base process, which I quite like it as an addition in Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire. But yeah, let's go into this move. So we are able to purchase other secret power TMs now that we have access to this thing. So we're gonna go ahead and teach this to Gladys. As a normal type, she would be quite useful at using this move. And, you know, she's also one of the few normal types that can't learn Strength, so I feel like this will just be a natural fit for her. So, Secret Power. In terms of battle, this thing is really cool. It will have a different effect in battle depending on the location you're fighting in. So potentially you can make opponents flinch, you can poison them, you can lower their accuracy, all depending on what location you're doing the attack in. And of course, we're able to build a secret base by using this move on certain trees or on indents in rock walls. Once you have an area set up, you're able to decorate it with a variety of different items. Though I'm not sure we'll be able to do that. Yeah, sadly in this game we can't place certain items like Pokédolls unless we have other decorations. So in this instance, we don't have desks or chairs or other things we can do, but eventually we'll be able to purchase these items. So they're purely cosmetic, but they allow you to set up like your own secret base anywhere throughout the Hoenn region in certain locations. And if you mix records with that of another player, you're actually able to access their secret bases in your game, which is pretty cool of being able to have another secret hideout totally customizable throughout the regions. Now this feature in Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire is expanded upon so much more, giving us entirely new decorations you can use in this area, and also having the ability to have various trainers that you have previously encountered set up in these areas that you can battle against repeatedly in order to grind your Pokemon against. Certainly very useful if you would like to just have an easy time to grind experience on some challenging opponents. Yeah, this is just a really cool feature, especially in the remakes of these games on the 3DS, because God, I really loved playing Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire back in the day. It was so much fun, especially being able to access the online features and being able to access, like, all the different secret bases of various other characters playing the game. Oh, it was so good. Yeah, I cannot speak highly enough of Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire. They were such good games. A lot of people still kind them a little inferior compared to Emerald, as that game had a lot of unique stuff added that sets it apart from Ruby and Sapphire. And Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire obviously play more like Ruby and Sapphire, just with more modern and things that just make the overall experience even better. But you know, they're still great games, and I do like revisiting them every now and then. Though it's certainly been a while since I last played Omega Ruby or Alpha Sapphire, so well, with this current series going on, I don't think I'm going to be journeying back to the Hoenn region until at least next year. So another thing we'll want to do over here, we can talk to this girl, and she will give you a random berry from a set selection at least once a day. And this is quite useful if you want to accumulate berries for contests. We can pick some raspberries up here. So I'm pretty sure these items are exclusively contest-driven, as they don't have any secondary effects. And of course, raspberries also got a lot of use if you're playing the Pokemon Go games, as those have raspberries serving the role of being able to increase the chances of catching a Pokemon, which is certainly helpful. Oh, your Pokemon look like serious actors. I have to ask you for an engagement. Whoa, lady. I mean, my trainer is only like 10 to 11 years old. What is this engagement thing you're talking about? Whatever, we got ourselves another battle to deal with. So, while we're dealing with this fight, there is some news that came out pretty recently that I am very excited to talk about. So, a couple of months ago, Nintendo posted a trailer for a new game that was coming out on the Switch, called Tomodachi Life. What was the subtitle for it? I'm just totally blanking on the subtitle, but it's another entry into the Tomodachi Life series, and it's not really a game series that I found particularly interesting too much. Basically just messing around with Mii characters that you create and getting them to see a lot of different scenarios, which, you know, is fun and all, but not something I particularly was interested in. Until this recent trailer they posted for the new game that's being released, and oh my god, what they have shown off is so cool, like with the different customization you can do for your Miis and for the island that you're able to explore. But the big thing, and the one thing that made me have such a high opinion of this game coming out this year, is that the fact that this game is so LGBT friendly compared to a lot of other games around this time. Like, oh my god, the options in the game are incredible. You are able to pick a Mii's gender from either male, female, or non-binary. And as a non-binary person myself, I am so happy about that. And you're able to choose your Mii's preferences when it comes to who they want to date. So you can have your Mii's be straight, they can be gay, they can be bi, they could be pan, or they could just be ace and not be interested in anyone. Oh my god, I am so happy about this specific thing being included in this game. It is just incredible. And I've already just seen so many people on Blue Sky discussing this and being so happy about how inclusive this game is, especially compared to the original Tomodachi Life on the 3DS, which was definitely bashed back in the day for not having the option to romance characters of the opposite gender. So, yeah, I am very excited by this news. I definitely think between that, with the game being so inclusive, and also just the different customizable options for your characters in the island, yeah, it's going to be a fun time, and I'm really excited to eventually try out this game for myself. Oh, it's going to be so much fun. But we're here on a new route that we can explore. Route 113. This route is going to be quite interesting. There is one specific Pokemon in this area that I would really, really like to get. And there is one Pokemon in this route that I would really, really not want to get. Let's see the dice get rolled. Sandshrew! Alright, I am actually quite happy with this. Sandshrew here is a ground-type Pokemon. Yeah, we're finally getting access to ground types at this point in the game. This guy here is a very physically oriented Pokemon, having high attack and defense. And I'll say it right now, Sandshrew is one of my favorite Gen 1 Pokemon. I love this guy so much. I've used him in so many of my playthroughs. And yeah, in some of my Nuzlocke runs, I've actually managed to get some really good use out of the Sandshrew line. It's also a Pokemon I used back in my Leaf Green streams, back when I was doing things on Twitch. And it was definitely a useful party member there. So I'm quite happy to see this particular Pokemon. We'll most likely see the other options we've gone on this route, so I'll save my discussions on them until a bit later. But yeah, I'm very happy to find this thing here. Sandshrew, the mouse Pokemon. Sandshrew has a very dry hide that's extremely tough. The Pokemon can roll into a ball that repels any attack. At night, it burrows into the desert sand to sleep. So this guy, because of your pattern you've got on you, I'm gonna call you Blocky. Feel like that's a cute name for you. Oh man, I am so happy that we got ourselves a Sandshrew, because a ground type is going to be really helpful, especially around this part of the game. It's also a very defensive Pokemon, which will be very nice for us. Can you guess why it's so cool around here? Yeah, I actually really like this set piece here, where just the environment around here is just very unique compared to anything else we have seen on this adventure. So the whole deal with this section of the map is that we're actually running around the base of a giant volcano that is in the center of the Hoenn region. And this route is perpetually covered by ash and soot that is falling from the top of the volcano. So this whole area just has this very unique feel to this area where it's all dusty and sooty, and you can just see the ash falling from the sky. It's just a very cool area. I really like the feel of this place. It's so unique. The volcanic ash blocks the sun, so it doesn't get very warm. That's good for me. I can't stand heat. Well, you know what they say. If you can't stand the heat, the more the merrier. Wait, I don't think that's actually how the saying goes, but whatever. Around this area, you definitely want to be careful, as hiding around here in the ash piles, the man of the ashes I leap. Hiya! I challenge thee! we got ourselves Ninja Boys. So Lao over here, so we got ourselves ninjas. They will traditionally use poison-type Pokemon and will also use the Nincada family, which is certainly an interesting choice here. If you got yourselves a rock-type Pokemon, then these fights should be pretty easy for you at being able to weather whatever these Pokemon can do. Especially Coughing, because these Pokemon can learn self-destruct, much like the Voltorbs we encountered earlier. So yeah, these guys are quite nasty, and I am very thankful that I have Titania with us, because she could just easily blitz through these guys without having to worry about their nasty strategies. Yeah, in terms of combat, Coughing is mostly a physical tank that's also a decent special attacker, though it doesn't really use those stats quite well in this particular game because of the way the stats are spread. Yep, you can see there these guys can self-destruct. Quite nasty if they manage to do that, as they can easily knock out your Pokemon. But we have Titania, so we don't have to worry about any of that. What you also want to watch out for with Coughing is that they have the ability Levitate, which prevents them from being damaged by ground-type attacks. And considering that ground is one of the main weaknesses of poison-type Pokemon, that actually benefits Coughing quite a bit. So I could recommend using them mostly for their Levitate strategies alone. But yeah, these guys can be quite nasty if you're not prepared to fight them. Thankfully, we are. So we don't have to worry about any of that. Also, if you check the ash piles around here, you can usually find items like that Ether, as well as Super Repels. Those will be quite nice for navigating these areas. Though, I do want to keep encountering wild Pokemon in this area just to see what we can find. Like this thing here. Spinda here is what I would call the punch-drunk Pokemon, as this thing is just really strange. It's a red panda that learns a wide variety of different attacks and is usually really good at setting up confusion opponents, especially with the move Teeter Dance. However, its stats are so abysmally low and it doesn't even have the ability to evolve. So yeah, really hard to recommend this Pokemon. It does learn some really neat attacks, but besides that, there's really not much else to using this thing in battle. Another neat thing with Spinda is you see these spot patterns on its face. So those are actually different in positions depending on the stat values of the Spinda with its individual identity value. And because of that, these things can potentially have billions of different sprite combinations that they can have. So yeah, it's very unlikely that you'll ever run into the same Spinda twice. Definitely quite unique in that regard. And I think it's because of that reason that these Pokemon don't appear in a lot of modern games, because, yeah, obviously they'd have to have all these unique different textures for these Pokemon, so yeah, that explains a bit on that. But yeah, certainly a unique Pokemon, but it's easily the worst thing you can run into on this route. They're just so abysmally weak compared to our other options. Anyway, we ran into a Parasol lady around here. Remember correctly, they typically use water-type Pokemon, but this one had a Numel for some reason. Weird. I'm trying to remember what these girls have over here. I can't quite remember what Pokemon they use on their team, so it's probably not going to be too much to worry about. Jab Titania handle these bears over here. I mean, it is cool that we got a Pokemon based on a red panda, but you know, we eventually got a better red panda Pokemon in the form of Beware in the later games, so yeah, Spinda doesn't even get being a unique species of Pokemon at this point. Kinda sad, but, you know, I really don't care about Spinda that much. Although I do find it very funny that this Pokemon is known for walking around like it's in a stupor. And in one of the Mystery Dungeon games, there is a Spinda that you encounter who opens up a tavern. And I find that very funny. Yeah, that's pretty much what I wanted to say with regards to that Pokemon. There is one more that we could find in this area, but we'll talk about that one a bit later. So yeah, that battle wasn't really too bad with these two here. This area also has something else we can find that can be quite nice. If you go into this house, this area is covered in volcanic ash. I'm specially gifted. I make glass out of volcanic ash and make items. Go collect ashes with this. We get ourselves a soot sack. Just take that soot sack and walk through piles of ash, and it'll fill up with a volcanic ash. Once you think you've collected a good amount, come see me. It's fun to blow a glass flute when my boss is talking. So this NPC is able to collect the volcanic ash that you get by walking in this area. So every time that you pass through one of these bushes that has soot covering them, yeah, I like the detail that they're covered in soot, and then you can see it being removed when you walk over them. Whenever you walk over those, you will gain 1 unit of ash in your soot sack. And the more these you collect, the more that you're able to get exclusive items from this guy. Namely, he can give you flutes that are able to cure status ailments, which can definitely be nice. I highly recommend grinding for these, as they could be very integral to you in the long run of the adventure. And of course, you're also able to get furniture from this guy that you're able to use to decorate your secret base. So that's also a very nice use for this specific area. So yeah, definitely could be worthwhile to do some grinding here to both level up your Pokemon as well as to gather volcanic ash to fill up the sack and get those exclusive items. So I am definitely going to be doing some grinding in this area in between streams, just so that we're able to boost up our Pokemon in terms of levels and also gather those very good items. That'll definitely be a good priority for later. I'll use my ninjutsu on you! Volcanic Ash Swirl Cloak! What? It's already over? Take that, buddy. Go back to watching Naruto. Or, I guess, Boruto? Yeah, it's still so weird to me that Naruto is actually wrapped up when it comes to its anime run. And how we have the sequel series, Boruto. It just... God, I remember when I was a preteen and Naruto first came out. That's just so weird to me now. So over here we can pick up TM32. If I remember things correctly, I believe this is the TM for Double Team. Yeah. So that's obviously very nice, being able to increase your evasiveness, thus lowering the chances of your enemy being able to hit you. Can be good, but I don't really see it as being too useful to teach at the moment. There are some specific Pokemon where that particular move can be useful, but we're not going to worry too much about that. So I'm going to switch Titania out from this Aron, because, yeah, I don't want to take a hit from this thing there. At the very least, Liam can handle basically anything this thing can do. And just heal back his HP. The benefits of having a grass type. I am quite excited for later on, as Liam's going to get some really good moves coming up. And those will be very handy to have for some of the next battles. Alright, we're able to take care of that little thing. And Titania gets a level 25. So now she wants to learn Takedown. So that is stronger than Headbutt at the cost of being able to do recoil damage. So yeah, recoil moves can be quite nasty, as they will obviously lower the HP of your Pokemon after they're used, based on the damage dealt to the opponent. But they typically will do high damage to their opponents in return, so that's certainly utility in having these moves, because the damage they do is so good. But you do need to watch your Pokemon's HP when you're using them. But after that, we're able to make our way to Folliber Town. Yeah, we're gonna go ahead and heal up our team here after that. And we'll check out the sights around Folliber Town. In the fields of Folliber, we plant seedlings of hardy trees that thrive in volcanic ash. Quite nice. I wonder what Pokemon looked like long, long ago. Maybe the fossil maniac at the edge of town will know. Oh, hello, you are? Okay, your name's Hoenn. I can see that you're a trainer. So that means you use the Pokemon storage system I developed. How I arrived at that conclusion is a simple deductive process. You spoke to me because you want to access something on this PC. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm Lynette. Honestly, I'm glad to meet you. It's great you're using the storage system. If you could, please visit me at home. My house on Route 114. So this NPC here, we have to thank for the PC being so much more convenient to use in Generation 3 compared to how the PC is in the Generation 1 and 2 games. Cause, Bill, I love you, but that PC system was kind of garbage. This PC system that Lynette developed is how the PC functions in all games going forward. And it is just so nice and convenient. Having so many boxes where you can store Pokemon in, it's just super convenient. Yeah, it is so good having all these options. Oh, we actually had a nugget on Mallory. So definitely want to take that in a bit. And let's look at our Pokemon in general. Alright, Marshall has Guts, but his nature is Calm. That's a negative attack nature, so he's actually not going to be that good of a Machop to have with us. So Mallory has Sticky Hold. Not really that useful to us. And you have Hasty, which increases speed at the cost of defense. Again, not really the best nature. And, ooh, Blocky has a Lonely nature. So that will improve your physical attack at the cost of, I want to say, defense. Yeah, that's really good for you. Buffing one of your best stats in exchange for lowering one of your other good stats. Yeah, I'm definitely going to train up Blocky. That's a really good teammate here. Yeah, that's about what I wanted to focus on there. Titania, you're a bit high compared to some of our other teammates, but we're probably going to be ending things very shortly, so yeah, we're not going to worry too much about this. We don't really have any other trainers we're going to be dealing with in this session. Let's go talk with the locals. What's up? What's up? I saw a shady fellow scuttling in and out of Professor Cosmo's lab. So we can also see that there is a contest hall here, where you can challenge super rank contests, which is the rank immediately after normal. However, we're not going to be focusing on doing any more contests in this run. I mainly just wanted to show it off over at the Verdant Turf Contest Hall. But over here, not really anything new in terms of what's available at the shop. But there is a good supply of X items if you need these. And considering a certain fight coming up, yeah, these could be quite useful to you. But for now, we're gonna forget about that. There's nothing more to do in the shop we need to worry about. However, I think we might actually want to have the item finder equipped in this area. As I have a feeling, yeah, if we check over here by this crater that's in the ground, we can find a nugget. Alright, we'll definitely want to sell that after we're done with this. And let's talk to some of the locals. Professor Cosmo went off to Meteor Falls on Route 114 with some people from Team Aqua. Aw man, so we got Team Aqua involved in something here in Foliber. Take a look, this is my precious Azurill. It's slick and smooth and plushy too.
Woo-wee-loo!
That Azurill doesn't know it, but it is a legend among the Pokemon community. So over here we got ourselves the home of a very, very good NPC. I'm the move tutor. I know all the moves that Pokemon learn, every one of them, and I can teach Pokemon those moves. I can teach a move to a Pokemon of yours if you like. I'll do it for a heart scale. So this is the use of heart scales in this game, as you're able to collect those in order to teach your Pokemon moves that are available to them in their current moveset. So depending on your Pokemon's level, you will have access to any attack that they had learned previously, as well as moves that they get after evolving that they wouldn't normally be able to learn by level up. So yeah, Move Tutor is very important for that reason. So there is one more thing I want to do quickly before we are done with this session. And that's I want to go into this house here.
My big brother's the fossil maniac. He's a nice guy who loves fossils.
He loves digging holes too. He dug this hole by himself. You can have this so you can dig holes just like my big brother. And with that we get TM28. So this TM teaches us Dig. This is a ground type attack that takes a turn to be able to actually damage. However, on the turn that your Pokemon is underground, it will be completely immune to damage from attacks, barring a couple moves, but we're not going to worry about that until much later.
I'm the fossil maniac. I'm a nice guy who loves fossils. Do you want a fossil? But the fossils around these parts all belong to me. None for you. If you can't go without a fossil, go to the desert on Route 111. From what I've heard, fossils that were buried in the sand sometimes rise to the surface from sandstorms.
So we get an idea on where we can eventually find fossils in this adventure. But with that said, I think we have reached a pretty good stopping point here on this leg of our journey. Managing to earn our fur gym badge and made our way over to Foliber Town. And our team is definitely looking quite formidable, especially with some of the new catches we got around here. So yep, I will be taking a break from streams until next week, hopefully, depending on my schedule. I'll be trying to grind up some of the Pokemon in our PC and gauge which ones would be useful coming up. And we'll be back very soon for the next leg of our journey, as we get to see what's just going on around this area. So until next time, have a good day, and take care.